Hello, Psych fans. Welcome to another fun-filled, action-packed moment of psychology, where I provide inspirational and deep thoughts that I have had to help you conquer some of the problems and issues that we face in day-to-day life. And today, one of the things that I want to talk about that really has hit home to me here recently is a person's truth. Now, let's talk about this for a minute and really dive into some very interesting things. And there's so many different directions you can take and so many different ways you can understand this. But one of the things that I want to point out, one of the things that I think is really interesting is a person's truth. And sometimes we don't necessarily sit back to really begin to understand a person's truth. And I worry about that because when we're dealing with conversations, when we are working with people, when we are trying to resolve conflict, when we are trying to collaborate, all of that comes into play so much better when we understand a person's truth. So let me illustrate. I'll tell you a story or two to help illustrate this particular situation. And it happens so many times to all of us, each day. And so hopefully some of this will hit home and this concept will help you in future conflict resolution and future communication as you move forward with your life. So the first thing I want to jump into is when you are having a conversation with somebody, the thing that I think is so crucial is getting curious, right, in a conversation. And one of the beauties of getting curious in a conversation is that you're asking questions to get to know a person's truth. So, the example that I draw upon is this. If there is a four-way stop and two intersecting streets, and there happens to be a car crash, one of the things that will happen if it's a major one and police are called is that all of the bystanders, all the people who are there on the various corners in other cars, um, in many cases, are interviewed by the police. And one of the reasons why they're doing that is they're trying to gather information. They're trying to gather everybody's perspective. And they are looking at trying to figure out what happened. And as all of these different stories, all these different perspectives begin to add up, then the police can begin to extrapolate what happened in that particular moment. And what I love about this is that one person on the northeast corner of the street has one perspective and looks at things in just a tad bit different way because their perspective is unique to somebody that might be on the southwest corner. And the person on the southwest corner may have a tidbit or two of information that the northeast person didn't, just based upon their perspective, just based upon where they were and how they saw the accident take place. And so on and so forth. You can look at the other people who are in cars around these, and we can look, okay, who saw the light? Who saw the two cars coming? And did anybody break any laws or rules or regulations? All those different things. And then, if they can, they interview the two people who are involved. And what's interesting about the two people that are involved is each one has a unique and different perspective. And sometimes we look at other people's perspective and we say, "Oh no, no, that's a lie." Right? They tell their perspective, we hear their truth, what they saw, what they heard, what they felt, and they're like, "No, no, no, that was not, what happened. This is what happened from my perspective." And all too often, one of the things that really causes problems is we begin to dismiss other people's truth. And I know I've done it. I know other people have done it. It's a very easy thing to do. especially when you're in an argument with somebody, or if we even go back to the car accident, right? We are on the defensive. We are on the defensive far too often, and we're always looking for someone who is jumping in and maybe lying about something, that causing deception, all these different things. We're so worried about all those things. But both can be right. Both can be truth. And just because one person sees a side of an argument one way and another person sees the side of the argument another way does not necessarily mean that those two truths are not right. And it doesn't mean that they're both wrong or vice versa. Yeah. So one of the things that we need to keep in mind and some tools to help us with this. First and foremost, when you're in a heated argument or debate, when you're in a situation where emotions are running really, really high, pause and get curious and realize that that other person's truth of how they saw you act, how they saw you behave, what they heard you say is 100% their truth. Whether they remember it right or not, or whether it coincides with your understanding of things, there is so much that they are not privy to, and that's okay. They, first and foremost, are not privy to your intentions, right? Now, sometimes we can judge intentions based upon how a person acts, but the problem with that is here's all of our past experiences, right, that are dictating how we see and how we hear and how we understand another person's perspective. So one of the things that we have to watch out for is we have to watch out for our own biases, right? We have to look out for our own upbringing and our own experiences because they tend to dictate the lens in which we see another person's truth. And because of that, that tends to be a problem. That tends to be an issue, right? And sometimes in an argument or a disagreement, right? Let's take a couple, for example, that's disagreeing about something. And the wife sits back and says, Honey, when you came at me and talked to me about this, you seemed really angry and it set me off. Well, the husband might sit back and say, I was just, kind of flustered. Maybe I was surprised. Maybe I was taken back, but I wasn't angry. Um, in that moment, though, one of the most important things to point out is to say, "Oh, I see. From your perspective, it sounded and it seemed like I was mad. I'm sorry about that. I didn't mean to sound mad. I didn't mean to sound um, upset or angry in the situation. I was just a little flustered and I was a little bit surprised, and that kind of knocked me off my guard. Okay. So, in this example, one of the things that I really like to point out here is that couples can work together. And this is great for colleagues. This is great for all types of circumstances or situations that you find yourself communicating with people or having some form of conflict with. The conflict can be easily resolved if we first take a step back and realize that our truth is our truth. And if we are secure in our truth, if we are secure in ourselves, if we have self confidence, if we have self awareness, if we are okay with ourselves, then anybody can sit back and say, Well, it seemed like you were going postal on me. And you can sit back and say, "Oh man, that's no, sorry about that. That wasn't what I was trying to do, but I can see, yeah, I can see where that could look that way. And gosh, I didn't mean to bring about that type of, perspective. And I'm really sorry about that." And in some cases, some people sit back and say, well, Spence, you know what? You shouldn't apologize for stuff that's not your fault because that wasn't your intention. That's not what you meant to do. And that may be true. But it goes a long way to apologize. And I think it's a really, really healthy thing that we can get into to be a lot more apologetic in our world today, right? Now, if you are one of those ones that sit back and say, well, I don't think I need to apologize for it, then don't, but take responsibility for it and say, I see where that can come from. I see where you felt that way. I see why it seemed like I was mad or upset or throwing a fit or all those different things. But I was calm inside, right? So it's important to at least acknowledge and take responsibility for the behavior, right? You might sit back and say, no, I was not angry. I might have been stern. I might have been intense, but that wasn't angry to me, right? And so it's important for us to look back and acknowledge that. And it's important for the other person to say, oh, you know what? Yeah, I guess I did say something that hurts your feelings. That wasn't my intention, and I really didn't mean to, and I really apologize for doing that because I didn't want to hurt you, and I wasn't trying to hurt you. Now, another thing that's important to keep in mind too is if you were trying to hurt and the intention was to hurt somebody else or one up them or manipulate stuff, it's okay to come back and say, you know what, I totally recognize that I was trying to, get back at you because you hurt me. And when you hurt me and I, hurt you, and it just escalates, boom, 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 goes higher and higher. And then things just get blown out of perspective. It's good to come back and it's good to apologize for some of those things because we're human, right? We make mistakes. We do things that are not necessarily 100% perfect all the time. So I hope this is helpful. Just a quick recap in the few minutes that we have remaining here. One is getting to know another person's truth. Get curious, ask questions. Try not to go on the defensive. Try not to be on the bad side or the wrong side of things. What you really need to do is work hard at trying to understand the other person's truth, right? And here's the beauty of it. If you understand another person's truth and they're seeking to understand your truth, both parties will be seen, both parties will be heard, and both parties will be validated. And that's what we all want, isn't it? Isn't that all that we want? We want to be seen, we want to be heard, we want to be validated. And in some situations, in some cases, apologies, yeah, some people are like, yeah, apologies are important. Others are like, well, apologies are not that big a deal. And that's okay. It's totally and completely up to you on how you reach that. But it's also really important for you to communicate and have an understanding in your relationship of what that looks like for you, if apologies are important or not. The other thing that I want to point out too is if both parts are in a way where we are trying to understand each other, we're going to really begin to um, find out what really works well for other people. The things that really work well for you as a couple or you in your colleagues, how that works. I really think it is one of those things where it is helpful for each of us to realize that we have truths. Each of us have a truth. Both can be right. Both can be spot on. Both can be heard. Both can be seen. Both can be understood. And that's what we're seeking to do. I hope this is helpful. I hope you guys take this and I hope you sit back with it for a little bit and think and ponder about your truth and how your truth is so important to you, and also about how important another person's truth is to them. And once you do that, you will begin to understand how to be more connected to those who are around you, more connected with those folks that you really want to love and feel connected with and feel like your relationship is progressing. And that's a great surefire way to sum up and help and solve and resolve a lot of conflicts in relationships at home, in the office, wherever you might go, wherever you might be, whatever you might be doing. All right, my friends, I hope this is extremely helpful. Once again, remember how absolutely wonderful and how absolutely special you are. And remember, your truth is important because your truth is unique. Your truth is yours, and nobody can take that from you, no matter what they say, no matter what they do. Your truth is solid. Even if you're the only one that sees it, if you're the only one that believes it, your truth is yours, and you can stand proud knowing that it's your truth. It helps when you know your truth and you seek to understand other people's truth and you make room and space for everybody's truth. Thank you for being here with me today. Thank you to being part of the conversation, and thank you for listening here at Exemplary Human. We're always excited to help you live your exemplary life, and we're excited to continue this podcast. So give us a listen, give us a like, give us a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, so that you can get more of these moments of psychology. Thanks so much for being with us.